Ralph Waldo Emerson said that your health is your first wealth. Modern research is telling us that the reverse may actually be very true as well, that your wealth can create your health. Hi, we have all heard that health is our first wealth. And yes, I totally agree with that. But what if I changed the equation around and I said that to be healthy, you have to be wealthy? In some ways, this may sound very discriminatory, but modern research is actually telling us something else. In this particular study, which I will link to in my show notes, there was a compelling body of research which actually showed that when we took the wealth of the individuals, and in this study they used 4 key parameters to determine the wealth of the individual, whether they were above a certain level or they were below a certain socio-economic level, and then they would look at what kind of health benefits or what kind of a health status these individuals enjoyed. So they were really comparing the wealth status with the health status. All right. Now, I think this is important to mention. Wealth, as we talk about, is people just think reflexively that it is all to do with money and a luxurious and an opulent lifestyle. Well, in this study, they took these 4 parameters. Number 1, clearly, income is an important part of wealth. But the other 3 are very pertinent too. They looked at employment. What is your level of job satisfaction? Does the job that you do have a meaning for you? Second, housing. What is the suburb that you live in? What is the overall profile of the suburb, of the people that are living in the suburb? And the last and the most important bit is the education. What is your level of education? And by that, it's not just by your school education. What is it that you continuously do on a day-to-day basis to actually educate yourself? And what they looked at was parameters as far as your health goes is, number 1, your access to healthcare delivery, your overall state of health and well-being by way of, say, memberships to gym and those kind of things, and also your knowledge and know-how about what is happening to your health and why is it happening. See, I truly believe that access to medical care is not necessarily equivalent to you being healthy. See, I believe that access to medical care is really your ability to seek medical advice for treating yourself. See, I've always said that being disease-free does not necessarily equate to being healthy. So here is what the research study showed, that individuals who enjoyed a certain level of income, had a certain level of employment and housing and education, which the study clearly outlines, enjoyed a certain level of health and well-being. Also, because that level of wealth allows you the affordability to access resources and also treatment options that may not be available to somebody who is under that line. Now, I do want to give a caveat here. Studies that were done on people who were living in the blue zones, which is basically the zones in which people were living in their 80s and 90s and without even having had to see a doctor, were not the super rich and the famous. In fact, they were very simple people living in very simple circumstances. So income alone does not make a difference, and that is the key point. So here are my takeaway messages for you to summarize everything into a practical strategy. See, when it comes to income, I've always said income is the value that you bring to the market. It is not that how much money you're getting for your services. Yes, you may be getting certain amount of money, but if you're not feeling fulfilled and grateful for it, by adding value to the market, you will always be hankering for more. Secondly, In my opinion, education is a very important part of your overall health, well-being, and your ability to feel wealthy. Why? Because if you're learning, you're constantly upskilling yourself and you are in touch with what is happening in and around you in your circle, and that is what allows you to make better quality decisions. Self-learning is the key, and I would urge everyone who's listening to this video to set aside a certain amount of time on a daily basis to invest in your own learning. Third thing, housing. See, a lot of people think, oh, I live in a poor suburb, I'm condemned to being unhealthy. That is not necessarily true. COVID has taught us that we live in a virtual world now. And I know growing up as a kid, I learned, my dad said to me that you are the sum of the 5 key people that you hang out with. He would always emphasize on the company that you would keep. So in the current context of housing, which suburb you live in, you could be living in the poorest of the poor suburbs. But hear this. If you are spending time with people who are actually making a difference in the world, and you can do that with YouTube, podcasts, reading books, and all of that in current day, you got access to connect to anybody. Those are the 5 people who are predominantly influencing you with their thoughts and ideas. So housing has got a bearing, but it hasn't got such a significant bearing if you are a learner, and that is where the concept of learning comes. And the last and the most important bit is employment. Whether your work has a meaning for you. Does it challenge you enough to actually get you out of your comfort zone so that you continue to learn? And does it give you a sense of fulfillment and meaning? Because if you're frustrated at work, what it is doing in medical terms is it's triggering the stress response on an ongoing basis, and it is creating a state of disease. This is really, really important because a lot of people think, yes, health is my first wealth, but I need the money first. Money is important to a certain degree. But if you're chasing money all the time, or if you are super wealthy, but you're stressed out all the time, well, that is actually hurting you more than actually creating your health and wellness. So I hope this video makes sense. Do share it with your friends and family, and make sure you click the thumbs up button.